all these videos start coming out of the mountains. All the people up there, the videos start coming out. And I mean, I watched this thing intently all week long on
Yeah.
social media. But by the middle of the end of the week, what was going on? You had the two sides. All of a sudden, it became political, right? We had the one side saying we've got all the resources and everything's up there. The government's done everything. We've got people everywhere doing everything. Everything is perfect. Then we've got the other side saying, no, that's a lie. They're not here. The ones that are here are causing us problems. And, you've heard the stories, we've heard all that, you
Yeah.
know, and with all this bickering and arguing going on, we still got frigging people that haven't been looked after and haven't
Yeah.
been rescued. And then you go down these rabbit holes and you talk about all the horrible things that people are seeing. And I tend to try to figure it out when I watch this stuff, or I try to
Yeah.
figure it out because there's bullshit on both sides. I've already figured that out. I've seen bullshit on both sides of this thing, right? But I talk to people. I try to talk to people down there, right? And that I know that,
Mm-hmm.
and then a couple or three of the people I watch on doing their videos and doing this stuff, I know these people are who they are, the cassette connections they have, and all this, and I'm like, these are the people I trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very dire situation, a very dire situation. But because I guess it's election season, right? It's become a friggin' political thing, and the thing of it is, Appalachian mountain people, man. I mean, you hear about them, you talk about them, but Appalachian and people wanting they talk about all the dead bodies everywhere, right? Well, you got this people on the other side. That ain't true. That ain't true because I ain't seen any videos of dead bodies. Well, folks, it is true. They're dead bodies, right? But what you won't see is you won't see a true Appalachian mountain person filming dead bodies and putting it out there for people to see. You won't see a true mountain person, Appalachian person sitting there videoing their despair, right? And going on and on about it. They don't want that. They
Yeah.
don't want a video. They don't want a video camera around them, right? In fact, if you come up and start videoing stuff, you're probably gonna get smacked or slapped, right? It's a mindset that people don't understand, And I know these folks. I'm a little bit of that myself. I'm at the spine. I'm down off the spine
Yeah.
of the Appalachians as it goes up. I'll tell you what I think about these Appalachian people, Charlie. I think back in the 1600s or whatever it was, there's a man, this biggest, strongest, brutest man you ever seen, and with an intellectually through the roof, smart. And
Mm-hmm.
he met a lady of the same type, physically strong, mentally tougher than nails, and smart as hell, right? I think they had about 10 boys or children in Pennsylvania. And the old man decided someday he's going to get on top of that mountain and go south. And he
Mm-hmm.
took off on top of that mountain in Pennsylvania, in the Appalachians, and he, with an old horse and buggy, and he went all the way down those Appalachian mountains on the spine. And every so often, he'd drop off a child, right? And he got to the end of the mountains down there, wherever it ends, down below Georgia. He got to the end of that mountain. And when he got down there, that was the end of it. And those 10 children for the next 300 years spawned some of the toughest, smartest people that inhabit this earth, right? I think that must have been what happened. You get to know these folks. If you get to know these folks, you understand what I'm saying. Now some of them might be toothless, they might have beards and talk real funny, but don't let that fool you. Don't let that fool you, these guys. So their toughness and their resilience helps these people down there, because they're all pitched in and doing their thing. And this is a long-term deal for those people. I just, what's got me pissed off is political ramification that set in on this thing. It just, it's screwing things up.
Yeah, and you mentioned the politics. I don't even think now clearly because it's an election year, a presidential election year, it's going to get even more intense, but I feel like it's every year now. I mean, look at so Maui was last year,
Yeah,
right? Look at
right,
Puerto Rico during the Trump
right,
administration, right?
right.
I mean, the other side is always going to criticize the federal response if they're not in power. And I'll say this, so I'm not there and I'm not talking to people on the ground, but I've seen all Biffle stuff, and I think we're trying to get Biffle on again this week for a Kenny conversation. I think that's going to be Wednesday. But
Cool.
one thing I do know that, and I get it, it's politics, but if you go back to Maui, the whole deal was these folks only got $600. And now you've probably seen the reports, these folks only get $750. And this is where you can actually go right to the FEMA website. And that is the immediate money that's given out for like literal necessity for a couple days, for food,
Right.
for a hotel, for baby formula and all that. And I was kind of looking into this a little bit. The reason for that, and this is kind of like with any government program, if a government is giving out money, there is so much fraud that goes on. Like, look at all these people in North Carolina. All these people need help, but there are so many bad folks who are going to try to take advantage of the federal program, and it sucks. But a lot of the resources have to go to making sure the right people get the money. And I know this because during COVID, I've said a couple of times I got a small rental property business. They had this eviction moratorium where basically they said for about 6-9 months, essentially people didn't have to pay their rent, right? Which was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Different counties in St. Louis had different rules. But then they had this assistance program where it was so much money that people again stopped paying their rent because they knew they would get this assistance. And so I'm having to do all this paperwork, and I'm
Oh boy.
calling the people and talking to them. And this woman said to me, because it was taking a while, and she goes, you would have no idea how much fraud goes on when money is given out. She goes, we're taking 90% of our time to go through the fact that 90% of these applications are fraudulent. They're coming from other continents and making fake leases and fake houses and fake residences to try to get this rental assistance. So it's just part of this whole deal. It sucks, but like even when you have these people struggling in North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, there's still going to be just evil. It's like those people that steal the give a penny, take a penny at a right, or
Yeah.
they steal the church money that's sitting out there for the kids' baseball team. Like there's people that are they're just the worst people on earth.
Yeah. And Charlie, I know what you're saying, but it's just idiotic what they did. I mean, the vice president lands on the ground. We're going to give you $750 each, right? The next day or that day or the day after, the what's his name? Macorius, what is his name? He gets on there on gets
Mayorkas?
Mayorkas says,
Yeah.
we've spent all our money. We don't have money. We don't have any money for any more hurricanes. And at the same time period, they're announcing how much money is going to Ukraine, right? So that it sets up this narrative, right? That creates all this stuff. And I'm like, why don't y'all just keep your damn mouth shut, right? Don't tell us we don't have any more money. Don't tell us how much more we're going to get. And and in the middle of all that, they announce however many million it was to give to Lebanese, right? In the middle of all this, I'm like, just stop this stuff. Just stop. I do know this, man. When I was flooded out in '85, the Red Cross came in. They gave us 2 or 3 buckets and a couple of mops, right? And we got $100 gift card at a grocery store, $100 gift card at a clothing store. That's all we got. We were white plumb out. Then the government gave me a 4% loan to build my house back, but I had to buy national flood insurance to get the loan, right? But you couldn't get the flood insurance unless you've been flooded. I tried that summer to get flood insurance for my place just for some reason. I'd say, well, I'm going to get flood insurance for you. Lloyd's of London was the only place I could get a policy written, and it was as much as my damn house, right? So, when that was over, and again, we talked about this last week. A month later, they had a hurricane or earthquake in Mexico. We gave them $35 million, the Mexico people, right? Not a loan, just give them $35 million. And we don't get, we get a couple $100 voucher and a 4% loan. And this stuff evidently hasn't changed much over the years, right? So, I get both sides of this. I understand, but man, oh man, oh man. All I know is thank God for people like Biffle starting this thing
Sure.
and everybody, all the volunteers going in. I mean, it's really, the volunteers is what saved all these people. I mean, that's the bottom line. The average everyday person, or the people sending stuff up there like Elon Musk sending the Starlink communications and everything that goes on. The teams, Penske give $1 million. Who was the first team to give $1 million? 2311.
Mm-hmm.
They gave $1 million, right? Just all these people donating all this stuff. That's not the government. That's That's us, Charlie. That's me and you. That's us doing our thing and making it work. So, it's bottom line is, man, people still suffering up there. We got to keep them in our thoughts. And it's going to go on a long time. So, and the racing community's been one of the best. I mean, everybody in the racing
Yeah.
community, man, has jumped on this thing. So I just think it's so cool. That part's so cool. Can't take away from that.
Yeah, no, I feel like, and that's the shame of it too is, and hell, there's another hurricane coming, right, to
Yeah.
Florida. I was
Yeah.
watching the news
Yes.
last night. The shame of it too is, I've heard people say kind of like we've forgotten about Maui, and unfortunately, that's what happens is
Yeah.
we have so many of these that look right now everybody's focused as they should on North Carolina, and then next year, unfortunately, there's going to be another natural disaster somewhere else, and the news cycle kind of moves on to the next one.
Yep. Yep. It does. I mean, Katrina was terrible, right? Right. Who was the president then? Bush. He was the president then. He caught
Yeah.
hell for non-response at Katrina. So, to me, it's like, and we talked about this the other day. Why don't we have a damn quick response team, right? I mean, just have a quick response team across America. You got 50 friggin' helicopters, right? Military helicopters staffed with people and supplies. And you don't even have to have a major general to put this program in place. When a natural disaster happens, fire up these 50 helicopters and head out, right? Just head out. I mean, you set up for other kinds of problems and all kinds of stuff. I get all that, but you're trying to save friggin' lives, man.
Mm-hmm.
Quick response deal. Then when that's done, then let FEMA come in and do their thing, right? And or hopefully do their thing. I don't know. I digress.